Chosen one, this is not just another video. This is a divine interruption, a spiritual appointment written in eternity, arriving in your life at the exact moment you needed it most. If you ignore this, don't blame God later. If you walk away from this word, don't say heaven didn't try to reach you. Because what I'm about to tell you carries weight, not just for you, but for every life connected to your obedience. Let me ask you, why does your life feel heavier than everyone else's? Why does every battle seem to find you? Why are you the one everyone depends on, while no one seems to carry you? This isn't coincidence. This isn't bad luck. This is the evidence that you've been chosen. God has placed something rare on your life, a mantle that comes with both honor and pressure. And I need you to understand something very clearly. Your current struggles are not punishment. They are preparation. Your isolation is not rejection. It is refinement, and your battles are not random. They are divine assignments. But here's the warning, and you need to take this seriously. The window of opportunity is closing faster than you realize. Heaven is moving, and the doors God has prepared for you are standing open. But they won't stay open forever. You were not called to live an average life. You were not chosen to blend in. You were chosen to break generational cycles, to carry what others could not, to stand when others fall, to lead when others run. The question is no longer why me. The real question is, who am I to say no when God says yes? Chosen one, listen carefully. If you walk away from this word, if you silence the nudge in your spirit, the consequences will ripple far beyond your life. This is bigger than you. This is destiny. This is legacy. And this moment, right here, right now, is your divine invitation to rise. Will you answer the call? Let's begin. The burden is proof of calling. Chosen one, let's get real. You've asked the question more times than you can count. Why does my life feel so much heavier than everyone else's? You look around and it feels like others are floating through life while you're fighting battles before your feet even touch the ground each morning. But here's the truth heaven needs you to understand. You carry more because you've been trusted with more. You weren't called to fit in. You were chosen to carry a mantle. And that mantle doesn't just attract favor, it attracts warfare. People see your strength, your resilience, your ability to endure. But they don't see the nights you've cried yourself to sleep. They don't see the moments when your smile was a mask, hiding the weight that felt like it could crush you at any second. Let me speak directly to that secret exhaustion. You've been carrying burdens in silence that would have broken someone else. You've shown up for people who never once showed up for you. You've prayed, you've given, you've poured out, and still, the battles kept coming. That's not punishment. That's evidence that you are anointed. You've been trusted with a spiritual assignment that most wouldn't survive. Because here's the thing. When God is preparing a foundation, a real one, it has to go deep before it can rise high. Foundations carry weight. They hold others up. They're unseen, uncelebrated, but essential. You, chosen one. You are a foundation. That's why your trials hit different. That's why your storms last longer. Because what God is building on you, and through you, must outlast trends, opinions, and even generations. Let's go even deeper. Some of the things you've endured weren't about you at all. They were about the bloodline you come from, and the one that's coming after you. You were called to break curses, shift patterns, and become the first in your family to walk in divine order. You weren't sent here to repeat cycles, you were born to break them. And breaking chains makes noise. It draws attacks, it draws pressure. But pressure also creates diamonds. So if life has felt like a crushing weight lately, if you've been misunderstood, overlooked, or misused, understand this. God saw you strong enough to endure what others couldn't. He saw something in you that was worth refining, even if it meant putting you through seasons that hurt like hell. But here's the key, that burden was never meant to break you. It was designed to build you, to prepare you, to reveal who you really are. And here's something no one told you. When you're chosen, your process isn't personal. It's prophetic. It's setting the stage for what's coming next. Now listen. The enemy wants to convince you that your heaviness is evidence of failure, that because life feels hard, God must be far. But the opposite is true. The resistance you feel is confirmation that something sacred is forming within you. You are not crazy, you're not weak, you're not late. You are in process. And the weight on your life is the very sign that heaven has marked you for impact. Chosen one, you are carrying something precious. Something generations before you prayed for but couldn't walk out. That's why it feels so intense. That's why the enemy is so determined to wear you out. But here's your reminder. If you weren't dangerous to the enemy's plans, he wouldn't be fighting you this hard. Let that sink in. And now, I need you to take a moment and declare your agreement with heaven. Drop a 111 in the comments if you feel this word confirming what your spirit already knows. You're not imagining it. This isn't just motivation. This is spiritual confirmation. And if this message is speaking directly to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe right now and stay connected to this community of chosen ones who are rising together. Because we're not just surviving, we're stepping into divine purpose. There's so much more to uncover, but this had to be said first. The weight on your life is not a curse, it's a calling. And if you're still standing after everything you've been through, that's not weakness. That's proof you were chosen, and your rise has already begun. Divine isolation. Refining in the wilderness. Chosen one, if you've ever felt like nobody understands you, if you've ever wondered why you walk alone, if your life feels like a wilderness where voices fade and friends disappear, hear me. That isolation isn't rejection, it's divine refinement. God has a pattern. Before he launches a chosen vessel into their assignment, he pulls them into a season of separation. Why? Because where you're going, not everyone can follow. And what you're carrying, not everyone can handle. This is why your circle got smaller. This is why the people you thought would be with you forever vanished. This is why the phone doesn't ring like it used to. This is why you've sat in rooms full of people but felt completely invisible. Chosen one, God hid you on purpose. Isolation is not punishment, it's protection. It's heaven preserving you from environments that would have contaminated your calling. Think about it. Before Moses led Israel out of Egypt, he spent 40 years in the wilderness. Before David sat on the throne, he spent years running and hiding in caves. Before Jesus stepped into public ministry, he was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. Wilderness seasons are not barren. They are birthing places. It's where your identity is revealed. It's where your faith is tested. It's where your character is refined. And most importantly, it's where distractions die. God removes noise so you can hear his voice clearly. He cuts off counterfeit connections so your destiny won't be delayed. You see, isolation feels painful, but it's actually mercy in disguise. Because there were people in your life who didn't love you. They loved what you did for them. There were people attached to your presence, but not to your purpose. And God, in his wisdom, allowed distance not to break your heart, but to protect your future. Listen closely. You were never created to be available to everyone. You were never called to pour yourself empty for people who refuse to grow. Your life has purpose. Your time has value. Your presence carries weight. And the wilderness teaches you that. It forces you to stop depending on people for validation. It breaks your addiction to approval. It anchors your identity in God, not in who claps for you. Because chosen one, if applause builds you, criticism will break you. That's why the wilderness strips away every false source of security. Money won't sustain you there. Connections won't save you there. Fame won't feed you there. Only God will, and that's the whole point. Wilderness seasons train your ear to recognize heaven's voice in the silence. It sharpens your discernment so you'll never again settle for less than what God has ordained. Hear me, isolation isn't forever. It's a season, a sacred pause before acceleration. But if you fight it, if you run from it, if you resent it, you risk delaying your next level. Because the wilderness isn't just a place of loneliness, it's a place of preparation. Let me show you something powerful. When David was hiding in caves, away from the palace he was promised, he wasn't just surviving. He was learning strategy. He was building endurance. He was writing psalms that we still read today. His isolation became the incubator for legacy, and so will yours. I know the silence is loud. I know the nights feel long. I know the weight feels unbearable at times. But what if I told you this is the holiest season of your life? What if I told you that heaven is closest when it feels like people are farthest? What if I told you that God is using this wilderness to reveal what He placed in you before the foundation of the world? Chosen one, you are not abandoned, you are being equipped. The hidden seasons are proof that God is building you for something that cannot be rushed. Think about it. Cheap things are made quickly. Diamonds take time. Foundations take time. Weapons take time. God is making you into a weapon for His kingdom. That's why it feels like life is moving in slow motion. Because what you carry is rare, and rare things require refinement. I know what you're thinking. When is this season going to end? When will people see me for who I really am? When will I finally step into the promise? And here's the answer. When you stop fighting the process and start trusting the potter. Remember this scripture, Isaiah 64:8. Yet you, Lord, are our Father. We are the clay, you are the potter. We are all the work of your hand. God is shaping you, molding you, strengthening you. And every tear you've cried in the wilderness has watered the very ground your promise will grow from. Chosen one, I need you to lift your head, because what looks like isolation is really incubation. What feels like rejection is really redirection. What seems like loss is really preparation for gain. This season isn't punishment, it's positioning. You are being prepared for rooms your name hasn't even been mentioned in yet. You are being positioned for assignments you haven't even dreamed of yet. You are being trained for battles you haven't even seen yet. But when the moment comes, and it will come, you'll be ready. Not because you hustled your way there. Not because people opened doors for you. But because God Himself prepared you in secret. And when God reveals you, no man can hide you. Chosen one, this is not the end. This is the middle of your becoming. Stay faithful, stay obedient, stay humble. Your wilderness won't last forever, but your preparation in it will echo through eternity. Now, if this word is confirming everything you've been sensing in your spirit, I need you to let me know. Drop 111 in the comments as your public declaration that you received this word. And if you haven't already, subscribe right now. Stay connected to this community of chosen ones who refuse to give up, who are rising together, who understand that being hidden was never rejection. It was always divine protection. And your revealing is coming sooner than you think. Spiritual responsibility, generational blessing or curse. Chosen one, I need you to hear me very carefully right now. The battles you are fighting, the weight you are carrying, the decisions you are making in silence, they are not just about you. This is bigger than your comfort, bigger than your feelings, bigger than this moment. You are standing at a spiritual crossroads because what you choose to confront in your life or what you choose to ignore doesn't stay with you. It passes on. It multiplies. The blessing multiplies, but so does the curse. Let me say this plainly. A neglected calling becomes a generational curse. This is the part nobody wants to talk about. This is the truth most churches won't tell you. But I love you enough to tell you the hard truth. There is a cost to disobedience. There is a cost to delaying what God told you to do. There is a cost to shrinking when you were called to stand. There is a cost to silence when heaven has given you a voice. And that cost, it doesn't just fall on you. It falls on your bloodline. Chosen one. What you refuse to confront, your children will inherit. What you leave unfinished, your family will have to fight. What you delay in obedience will delay every breakthrough connected to your name. This is why the burden feels so heavy. This is why the warfare feels so constant. Because you weren't chosen just to bless yourself. You were chosen to break generational cycles and rewrite family history. Look at Scripture. Moses didn't just lead himself out of bondage. He led an entire nation. Esther didn't just save herself. She saved her people. Joseph didn't just preserve food for his own survival. He preserved generations during famine. Do you see the pattern? Chosen ones carry legacy. Chosen ones carry multiplication. Chosen ones carry generational deliverance, but only if they obey. Listen closely. We live in a culture that teaches people to live for today. But God's people were never called to think small like that. Chosen ones are always called to think generationally, to think legacy, to think decades ahead, to think about blessings their eyes will never see, but their obedience will create. And that's what's at stake here. Let me ask you a hard question. What gifts has God placed in you that are still buried in the ground? What assignments have you postponed because you felt too tired, too unqualified, too busy? What calling has heaven whispered to your spirit that you've ignored because it felt inconvenient? Chosen one, heaven is patient, but heaven is not passive. There comes a time when the window of grace starts to close. There comes a moment when God says, "If you won't carry this, I will raise up someone else who will." Remember Esther 4:14. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? This is the weight of responsibility that comes with being chosen. It's not about being popular. It's not about being comfortable. It's about carrying out heaven's agenda on earth, even when it costs you. Because the cost of obedience is temporary, but the cost of disobedience echoes for generations. This is why the enemy fights you so hard. It's not about your job, it's not about your finances, it's not about your location. It's about your destiny. It's about your impact. It's about the future you are called to protect. Let me make this practical. If you are the first in your family to pursue healing, you are breaking a generational curse. If you are the first in your family to handle finances with wisdom, you are creating generational wealth. If you are the first in your family to walk in purity, integrity, and spiritual alignment, you are creating generational blessing. But hear me, none of this happens by accident. It happens because chosen ones answer the call when it's uncomfortable. It happens because chosen ones choose responsibility over excuses. It happens because chosen ones refuse to quit, even when quitting would be easier. This is why the refining is so intense, because you can't lead others where you refuse to go. You can't heal others while ignoring your own wounds. You can't break chains for others while holding on to your own idols. Chosen one, this is your moment. This is your warning. This is your divine opportunity to shift everything. Heaven is watching. Generations are waiting. Will you answer the call? Will you rise as the leader God saw in you before you were born? Or will you shrink back and let fear write your story? I need you to pause right now and reflect. What has God been asking you to do that you've been avoiding? What area of your life needs radical obedience today? What legacy are you building for those who come after you? And I'm saying this in love. If you don't deal with it now, it will deal with you later. But the good news, it's not too late. Mercy is still here. Grace is still available. The door is still open. But you must move. You must obey. You must choose legacy over comfort. We don't settle. We don't quit. We don't live for today only. We live for legacy. We rise for generation. We obey because heaven is waiting. And I promise you, when you walk in obedience, what God releases in your life will not just bless you. It will bless everyone connected to your name. This is your moment. This is your turning point. Choose legacy. Choose obedience. Choose destiny. Because what you do next will echo through eternity. 5 unmistakable signs you are a chosen one. Chosen one, let me tell you something that your spirit already knows. But maybe you've never had anyone confirm it out loud. You were never like everyone else. You've always felt different. You've always seen life through a lens others didn't understand. You've always carried weight, pressure, and responsibility that didn't match your age, your background, or your position. And that's not an accident. That's not coincidence. That's divine design. Being chosen comes with unmistakable signs. Spiritual fingerprints left on your life long before you even understood what they meant. Today, I'm going to show you 5 undeniable signs that mark every chosen one. This is your confirmation. This is your clarity. This is your moment of recognition. Let's begin. Sign 1. You suffer more intensely than others. This is the first, and often the hardest sign of the chosen. Your suffering hasn't been small. Your battles haven't been light. Your journey hasn't been easy. Where others broke down and stayed down, you had to get back up. Where others were protected from storms, you had to walk through them. It often feels like trouble finds you faster than peace does. But here's the truth. Suffering produces endurance. Endurance produces strength. And strength produces legacy. Romans 5:3-4 says, "We glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope." Your suffering has shaped you. It has refined you. It has created in you the kind of endurance that will outlast trends, attacks, and opposition. Why? Because God is preparing you for a position where fragile faith won't survive. You have been built for endurance. That suffering wasn't random. It was necessary. Sign 2. You feel misunderstood even in familiar places. Chosen ones are often overlooked in their own homes, rejected in their own communities, dismissed by their own family. Why? Because what God placed in you looks strange to people who live small. Think of David. When the prophet Samuel came to anoint the next king of Israel, David's own father didn't even invite him into the room. His brothers dismissed him. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118:22. Chosen ones are rejected, not because they lack value, but because their value can't be measured by human standards. You were never created to blend in. You were never designed to fit small environments. Your difference isn't a deficiency, it's your divine design. Let me say this clearly. If people don't recognize your worth, it's not because you're lacking. It's because they're looking with the wrong eyes. Sign 3. You carry weight beyond your years. Chosen ones are born carrying responsibility. Even as children, you were probably the one people leaned on, the one others confided in, the one solving problems before you fully understood your own. You didn't ask for the weight, but it found you. Why? Because God placed spiritual leadership in you before the world even knew your name. Leadership is not a title. It's a weight. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one holding the room together when chaos breaks out. And you've been doing that your whole life. Look back. Haven't you always been the peacemaker, the mediator, the problem solver? That's not random. That's mantle training. And here's what you need to know. God uses that early weight to prepare you for future impact. If you can handle pressure in the quiet seasons, you'll carry glory in the public ones. Sign 4. Betrayal shaped you. This sign cuts deep. Every chosen one walks through betrayal, not from strangers, but from people they loved deeply, from people they trusted completely, from people they sacrificed for without hesitation. Why does this happen? Because betrayal forces detachment. God will sometimes allow people to break your heart, so you'll stop leaning on them more than you lean on Him. Jesus experienced betrayal. Joseph experienced betrayal. David experienced betrayal. And so have you. That pain wasn't sent to destroy you. It was allowed to strengthen you. It shifted your focus from horizontal trust to vertical dependence. It purified your heart from false attachments. And most importantly, it created the emotional intelligence required for true leadership. Because you can't lead people if you're still wounded by their rejection. Betrayal was the classroom. Wisdom was the lesson. Sign 5. You carry a persistent sense of divine assignment. This sign is what separates the called from the chosen. Chosen ones don't just dream about success. They feel a divine burden for purpose. There's a holy restlessness in your spirit. No matter how far you've tried to run, no matter how small you've tried to live, no matter how quiet you've tried to stay, that inner voice keeps calling you higher. You've probably said things like, "Why do I feel like I was made for more? Why can't I settle where others are comfortable? Why do I see problems that no one else even notices?" That's not overthinking. That's the signature of a divine assignment. Moses tried to resist his calling. Jeremiah tried to hide from his assignment. Gideon tried to disqualify himself. But here's the truth. You didn't choose this calling. It chose you. John 15:16 says, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last." That feeling you've been carrying isn't delusion. It's destiny. And until you answer it, nothing else will satisfy your soul. Final words to chosen ones. These 5 signs aren't random. They are heaven's fingerprints over your life. Your suffering shaped you. Your isolation refined you. Your responsibility trained you. Your betrayal matured you. Your divine burden marks you. Chosen one, I know the weight is heavy. I know the wilderness is long. I know the process feels never-ending. But I also know this: God wastes nothing. Everything you've walked through is working together for a purpose so great. Even you can't fully see it yet. Romans 8:28 reminds us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." You are not forgotten. You are not cursed. You are not average. You are chosen. Now, if this word has confirmed what you've always known deep down, I want you to do something bold. Drop 111 in the comments right now as your declaration that you are done running from your calling. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe right now. Stay connected to this community of chosen ones, because here we don't shrink. Here, we don't apologize for our calling. Here, we rise. Your journey has been marked by heaven. Your story is being written by God, and your future is greater than anything you've lost. This is your confirmation. This is your sign. You are a chosen one, and nothing will ever change that. The enemy doesn't fear your provision. He fears your multiplication. Chosen one, let's shift the lens for a moment. You've been praying for provision, asking God to meet your needs, open doors, send help. And yes, that's important. God cares about your daily bread. But there's a deeper truth you need to see today. The enemy isn't scared of your provision. He's terrified of your multiplication. Let that sink in. Provision is about survival. Multiplication is about legacy. Provision helps you. Multiplication blesses everyone connected to you. The enemy doesn't mind you having just enough. He doesn't mind if you keep grinding just to get by. He doesn't even mind your momentary breakthroughs, as long as you never break cycles. But the moment you step into multiplication, the moment you start thinking like a builder, a restorer, a generational weapon, that's when all hell breaks loose. Because multiplication is kingdom. Think back to Joseph. When God placed him in Egypt, Joseph didn't just provide for himself. He didn't just store up for his own family. He multiplied the harvest so strategically that entire nations survived a 7-year famine. Genesis 41 tells us he collected and stored so much grain that they stopped keeping record because it became immeasurable. Why? Because Joseph wasn't just a man with favor. He was a man with vision. Provision answers a need. Vision builds a future. And that's exactly why your warfare has increased. It's not because you're failing. It's because you're close to stepping into establishment mode. You're not just working for today's bills. You're building something that will outlive you. Look at Nehemiah. He didn't just mourn over broken walls. He rebuilt them. And the moment he started building, the resistance came. Sanballat and Tobiah mocked him, threatened him, tried to distract him. Why? Because broken walls don't threaten the enemy. Rebuilt ones do. This is what you need to realize. The enemy doesn't waste energy fighting people who aren't dangerous. So if your opposition has felt overwhelming lately, if distractions, delays, and discouragement have multiplied, it's because you're nearing a turning point. From maintenance to multiplication. Let's talk about what multiplication really means. Multiplication means you stop surviving and start establishing. It means you go from consuming to creating, from being blessed to becoming a blessing. The moment you start thinking in decades instead of days, you threaten darkness. The moment you say, "My children will not repeat what I endured," you challenge hell's strategy. The moment you decide, "I'm going to build something that blesses people I may never meet," you step into legacy. And legacy is the language of the kingdom. Look at Proverbs 13:22. A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. That's multiplication. And it's not just about money. It's about wisdom. It's about healing. It's about spiritual inheritance. It's about mindset. You were never called to live check to check emotionally, spiritually, or financially. You were called to overflow. But overflow requires order. It requires intention. It requires maturity. It requires strategy. That's why God has been dealing with your disciplines. That's why He's been pruning your circle. That's why He's been pressing you in places others get to ignore. He's preparing you to multiply what others could only maintain. You are not just the breadwinner for today. You are the wellspring for generations. And I know that sounds like a lot of pressure. But here's the good news. You're not carrying it alone. God is not asking you to do this in your own strength. He's doing it through you. When Jesus fed the 5,000, it wasn't the disciples who multiplied the bread. It was the blessing. The miracle didn't begin when they had plenty. It began when they surrendered their little. 5 loaves, 2 fish. That's it. But in the hands of Jesus, it multiplied. And there were leftovers. Chosen one. What you have may not feel like much, but if you surrender it to God, He will multiply it. Your wisdom, your creativity, your resources, your testimony, your experience. It may feel small now, but in the hands of the divine, it becomes overflow. Here's the shift. Stop asking just for enough. Start preparing to establish something that lasts. Start praying prayers like, God, teach me to steward what you've given me. Lord, give me vision for the next generation. Father, show me what to build, not just what to receive. Because what you build in faith, God breathes on with favor. Let me show you something else. LeBron James isn't just wealthy. He built schools. He created platforms. He poured into communities. That's multiplication. It's not about accumulation. It's about establishment. It's about creating systems, structures, and spaces where people can thrive even after you're gone. And that chosen one is why the enemy is terrified of you. You're not just trying to succeed. You're being positioned to transform. And when a chosen one realizes their true authority, when they stop begging for breakthrough and start building one, it shakes hell's foundations. So let me ask you this. What are you building? What have you allowed to sit dormant because you thought you weren't ready? What vision have you shelved because it felt too big? Today is your moment to reclaim that territory. You were never meant to just get by. You were meant to build something that shifts your family, your community, and your lineage. So start thinking like a multiplier. Start praying like a builder. Start walking like a foundation. Because the enemy isn't scared of your survival. He's scared of your structure. He's scared of the school you'll open, the books you'll write, the platform you'll steward, the family you'll lead in righteousness, the young people you'll mentor, the chains you'll break without even speaking a word. Chosen one, this is your confirmation. God isn't just answering your prayers, He's awakening your purpose. You're not just meant to receive blessing, you're meant to become a blessing distributor. And if this word has awakened something in your spirit, do 2 things. Drop 111 in the comments as your declaration that you're ready to multiply. And subscribe right now to stay aligned with a community of kingdom builders, people just like you who are done settling and are ready to establish. You're not just the answer to your own prayer. You're the answer to someone else's future. So rise and multiply. Prophetic warning. Don't waste your waiting season. Chosen one, there's a warning you need to hear today. And it's not meant to scare you. It's meant to save you. God is not just the God of open doors. He's the God of perfect timing. But here's the danger most people miss. You can miss a divine door if you mishandle the waiting season. Let that settle in for a moment. You've been asking God when? When will the breakthrough come? When will the promise show up? When will life finally shift? But heaven is asking you something far more important. What are you doing while you wait? Because the waiting season isn't wasted time. It's preparation time. It's alignment time. It's testing time. And what you do while you wait will determine what you carry when the door opens. Let's be clear, waiting is not passive, it's active obedience. Look at the parable of the 10 virgins in Matthew 25. 5 were wise, 5 were foolish. All of them were waiting for the bridegroom, but only half kept their lamps full and their oil ready. When the door opened, the unprepared were left outside, and Jesus said something chilling. Truly I tell you, I don't know you. Chosen one, don't let that be your story. Don't be found spiritually asleep in the season God was trying to prepare you. Don't waste this sacred stretch of time scrolling, shrinking, or sulking. Because here's the truth, not every season circles back. Some divine windows open once, and when they close, they stay closed. This is why the devil doesn't just attack your calling. He attacks your waiting. He wants you to be distracted, to be discouraged, to believe the lie that nothing is happening. So you stop growing, stop praying, stop listening. But something is happening. God is sharpening your discernment. He's strengthening your spiritual muscles. He's pruning your pride. He's teaching you to hear him in the stillness, not just the miracles. If you felt like nothing is moving, if the silence has been loud, if the wilderness has felt never-ending, that's because you're in the sacred middle, the space between the promise and the fulfillment. And many people forfeit their destiny in that middle. Not because God failed, but because they grew weary of waiting. Let me say this clearly. You can delay your own breakthrough by how you posture your heart in the silence. If you spend your waiting season complaining, comparing, or compromising, you'll walk into the next season unprepared, misaligned, and spiritually empty. But if you spend your waiting season seeking, surrendering, and staying ready, you'll walk into your next door carrying authority, clarity, and divine confirmation. Look at David. He was anointed king, but went back to tending sheep. He didn't rush the process. He didn't demand the throne. He served in obscurity until God said, "Now." What if the delay is your development? What if the silence is your sharpening? What if the people ignoring you are actually preserving you? Chosen one. The enemy wants you to believe that your season of waiting means God forgot. But in reality, the waiting is proof that God is preparing something weighty. Because the heavier the assignment, the deeper the foundation must be. And foundations are built in secret. So here's your prophetic warning. Don't mislabel your waiting season. It's not punishment, it's not abandonment, it's activation. Let me ask you a question that might shake you a little. Are you preparing like God's promise is still coming? Or have you quietly given up? Have you kept the oil in your lamp? Are you feeding your faith or fueling your fear? Are you sharpening your gifts or sleeping on your calling? This is not the time to shrink. This is not the time to let apathy take root. This is not the time to settle into, maybe it wasn't meant for me. It was meant for you. But God is not just preparing the promise, He's preparing you. And if you're not ready, even a blessing can become a burden. Think about this. A door that opens too soon can crush a person who hasn't been strengthened for it. So instead of asking when, God, start asking, what are you trying to teach me right now? Because here's the real truth. The waiting season is not about time. It's about transformation. God is more interested in who you're becoming than how fast you're arriving. And when the time comes, when the door opens, when the stage is set, you'll look back and thank God for every lonely, crushing moment, because it made you. So now I speak directly to your spirit. Get ready, sharpen your sword, trim your lamp, keep the oil full, build while no one is clapping, pray while no one is watching, grow while no one is validating. Because when the door swings open, it's going to happen fast, suddenly, unexpectedly, and only the prepared will walk through it. You're not being delayed, you're being developed, and your suddenly moment is coming. Stay ready, stay faithful, stay aligned, because what God is about to do will be worth every second you waited in silence. Final prayer, declaration, and the rise of God's chosen ones. Chosen one, we've walked this journey together, word after word, truth after truth. But now we've reached the most important moment of all. This isn't just the end of a video. This is the beginning of your rise. This is not hype. This is heaven. This is a divine invitation written with your name on it. Everything you've been through, every burden, every betrayal, every sleepless night, every battle has led you to this very moment. This is not coincidence. This is not luck. This is God's orchestration. Because here's what you need to understand clearly. With no confusion, your life was never small. Your story was never random. Your pain was never wasted. God has been writing a divine script long before you ever knew you were chosen. But now comes the most critical question of all. Will you rise? Will you finally step into the version of yourself heaven has always seen? Will you stop shrinking to fit into places God never designed for you to stay? Will you stop living beneath your anointing, your authority, your assignment? Because the doors are opening, the breakthrough is moving, the shift has already begun. But only those who are prepared will walk through it. Let me tell you this with all love and spiritual urgency. There is nothing more tragic than a chosen one who refuses to believe they're chosen. There is nothing more devastating than a person who carries world-changing authority, but dies living a life of survival because fear had a louder voice than faith. That's why the enemy has fought you so hard. It was never about your past. It was never about your mistakes. It was about your future. Because if you ever fully awaken, if you ever fully believe what God says about you, if you ever step into your identity with courage, hell knows it's finished. Chains will break because of you. Generational curses will dissolve because of you. Lives will be healed, restored, and elevated because you decided to rise. This is why your warfare was intense. This is why people walked away. This is why the pressure never seemed to let up. Chosen one. It wasn't punishment. It was protection. It was preparation. It was prophetic training for the battles and blessings ahead. Remember this forever. Heavy crowns require heavy preparation. Big mantles require deep isolation. Powerful voices require painful refining. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on time for God's agenda. But listen closely. This next season is not just about surviving. It's about multiplying. It's about building systems, legacies, and structures that bless not just your life, but generations after you. Joseph didn't just feed himself. He fed nations. David didn't just fight Goliath. He led Israel. Esther didn't just save herself. She saved her people. You are called for more. This is your call to vision. This is your reminder that your gifts are not random. They are responsibility. That stirring you've been feeling to write the book, to start the business, to launch the ministry, to build the foundation, to speak the truth. That's not ambition, that's obedience. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions. Stop waiting for everyone to approve. Stop waiting for the fear to go away. Move anyway. Trust anyway. Build anyway. Because God moves with those who move with Him. This next level is going to cost you your comfort zone, but it will reward you with clarity, peace, and purpose you've never known before. Chosen one, let me speak directly to your soul. Your time is now. This is not the time to look back. This is not the time to settle. This is not the time to ask for permission to be who God already said you are. This is the time to rise. This is the time to move. This is the time to lead. Heaven is ready. Are you? And if this entire message has been resonating in your spirit, if something deep inside of you knows this was for you, I need you to make a declaration of faith right now. Drop 999 in the comments as your prophetic agreement that this is your season of divine rise. Drop 999 to declare that you are done playing small, done doubting, done delaying. And if you haven't already, click subscribe right now, because this isn't just another channel. This is a community of chosen ones rising together. We don't settle for survival. We multiply for legacy. We build for generations. We stand for truth, and we move with heaven. Final prayer. Prayer of release and activation. Let me pray over you right now. Wherever you are, pause. Lift your hands. Open your heart. Heavenly Father, I thank you for every chosen one under the sound of my voice. You see them. You know them. You called them by name before the foundations of the world. Father, I declare every burden they've carried in silence is breaking now. Every chain that tried to keep them bound is being destroyed now. Every generational curse is dissolving under the power of your name. Lord, I speak clarity over their minds, peace over their hearts, strength into their spirit, courage into their bones. Father, awaken dormant gifts, stir fresh vision, breathe divine ideas, release kingdom strategies. Let them no longer see themselves as victims, but as vessels of glory. Lord, accelerate their preparation, align their steps, protect their path. And when the door opens, let them walk through it with authority, boldness, and unwavering faith. I declare this is their season of rise. This is their time of manifestation. This is the moment they've been prepared for. Bless them, keep them, use them, multiply them, for your glory and for generations to come. In Jesus' mighty name, it is so. Amen. Final declaration over you, chosen one. Say this out loud wherever you are. Let it settle in your spirit. I am not a victim. I am chosen. I was not built to break. I was built to I was not designed to fail. I was designed to finish. I was not called to shrink. I was called to lead. I am done hiding. I am done waiting for approval. This is my season to rise. I move with heaven. I build with purpose. I multiply with grace. I am chosen, and I accept the call. Let that settle deep in your heart. You didn't watch this by accident. You didn't stay this long for no reason. This was a divine appointment, written long before this moment ever existed. And now that you know, you can't go back to small. You can't go back to fear. You can't go back to waiting for permission. You have been called. You have been chosen. And this is your time to rise. Drop 999 in the comments if this word is yours. Subscribe right now. Stay connected. Because your next season requires alignment, faith, and community like never before. This isn't the end. This is the beginning. Now go forward, chosen one. Go multiply. Go build. Go rise. The world is waiting. Heaven is watching. And your story, your legacy, your impact is just beginning.